For the final video in our 4-part series on Al Jazeera Plus's Border Stories, we come to Francesca Fiorentini's Latino Immigrants Are Voting Back at Trump. This video chronicles the influx of new Latino citizens who are coming in specifically to vote against Trump in the general election. Now, we all know how that turned out, but I'm going to point at some specific things that are brought up in the video. With that, let's get to it.
You think Donald Trump would have gotten the memo by now to cool it on the immigrant bashing?
Right off the bat, Francesca can't help herself. Exactly what immigrants did Trump bash? I know he bashed illegal immigrants, those who were committing crimes and not being deported, but legal immigrants? I don't think he said a word.
Especially when it comes to Latinos. Because guess what? They're the fastest growing group of voters in the country. This year, 8 million more Latinos will be eligible to vote than in 2008.
Let's accept Francesca's number as fact. And there were 8 million more Latino voters eligible in 2016 than there were in 2008. In 2008, 9.7 million Latino voters turned out for the general election. In 2016, 13.9 million turned out. That's a difference of 4.2 million. Just over half of the 8 million more eligible voters did vote, not the landslide victory in the Latino community the Democrats were hoping for. Becoming American to vote. Of all the reasons to become a citizen, of all the reasons to become an American, the one they point out is to vote. There are so many other aspects of being a citizen that one would want. Yes, voting is important, but is it the only thing? I sincerely doubt that.
Joaquin and Catalina Escobedo are two such new voters. They've been living here in Houston for 36 years, and this year they finally took the plunge to become citizens.
Gee, what was your hurry? You've only been here 36 years. Why should you take the plunge so quickly? Shouldn't you feel the country out, feel the city out, maybe get an idea if you're going to like it here or not, instead of going back to Mexico? I mean, sincerely, it seems like it would be more prudent not to rush into things so rashly. I mean, 36 years, that's nothing. Sure, you could have both been dead by now, but still, better safe than sorry.
Al recurso de tiempo, al recurso de los años, empezó a entrar el pensamiento, bueno, y pues mucha gente está siendo ciudadana, porque miraba que cuando llegan las votaciones, y pues yo decía, pues yo no puedo votar.
Doing the math, when this gentleman came into the country, Jimmy Carter was president. Since then, there have been elections for Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, George Herbert Walker Bush, and Barack Obama. I can see how he didn't feel the need to vote in any of these elections. It makes perfect sense.
They're part of a blitz of permanent residents who are naturalizing. In the final months of 2015, applications for citizenship were up 5% over the last presidential election year. And since then, 1.2 million people have become citizens.
These numbers look interesting, but they're actually meaningless. There's no context given. How are we supposed to know how they relate to previous elections and how they relate to this election? We don't. Francesca's just throwing some smoke around.
Why now? Well, there's one possibility.
One possibility, my ass. As we've seen through this series, there is one overriding theme, and that's Trump. Get Trump. So here they are, throwing dirt at him again, and we saw what happened. It didn't work, did it?
Ser presidente si no es legal hacer las cosas bien con la gente, ¿verdad? Ojalá y que gane el mejor, porque pues si gana él, ni modo, ahí nos tapará la cerca que quiere poner.
I don't usually do derp faces, but this one's a doozy, isn't it? Hola, mamacita. Would you care to explain exactly how Trump was not treating people right? He certainly was going after illegal immigrants, but was he treating you wrong? Was he treating your husband wrong? I don't think so. And as for that wall, we'll see what happens.
Yo voy a votar por Clinton, pierda o gane.
I'm just going to let that speak for itself.
The Escobedos became citizens with the help of Neighborhood Centers, a community organization in Houston.
I looked up neighborhood centers in Houston. It's a very worthwhile project. They do a lot for the community, not just helping people apply for citizenship. They have outreach programs, they help people with aftercare and elder care, They're very good people.
Candidates who have so openly and continuously talking about immigration, that's really gearing our community, especially the Latino community, gearing them up for, okay, we're scared.
Exactly what in the holy fuck are you scared of? Are you illegal immigrants? Then you should be scared. Are you law-abiding naturalized citizens or permanent residents? You have nothing to worry about. What the fuck is your problem?
If this candidate becomes the president, we don't know what will happen to immigration laws. We won't know what will happen to our brothers and sisters.
This candidate. Are you afraid Trump's going to sue you for using his name in an Al Jazeera Plus video? Guess what? They've already done it. They've used his name. They've used his image. Again, what are you fucking afraid of? And also, immigration laws, there might be some changes. They may be for the good. They may not be so good. But you don't know that. He hasn't said anything about changing immigration laws with Mexico. What about these brothers and sisters? They're already in the country. They're already citizens. Or they're permanent residents. So the fuck what?
In a normal year, the organization helps about 600 people become citizens. But this year, it's looking more like 1,000 to 1,500.
Okay, a normal year. It's higher. Fine. But what's a normal year? This is not a normal year. It's an election year. Is it higher during election years? We don't know. Francesca has decided not to tell us. You could look it up if you want, but once again, Al Jazeera Plus doesn't have to show you anything. It just has to beat you over the head with meaningless statistics and hope you'll buy into their fucked up narrative.
And it's a lot of work.
Tuvimos que estudiar los que están, mire.
The process requires civic lessons, practicing English, and prepping for a final citizenship exam.
¿Qué pregunta? Haceme la pregunta.
Vamos a suponer que tú eres mi estudiante. ¿Cuál fue el primer presidente de Estados Unidos?
Two things. First off, of course it's a lot of work. You're trying to become a citizen of a sovereign nation. Those things aren't just handed out. Second, Francesca is about to be asked 2 questions from the citizenship exam. How many do you think she'll get right? Bet now.
George Washington.
She's 1 for 1. Let's see how the second one goes.
Eso todo lo tenemos que saber porque...
No toda la gente lo tiene.
No toda la gente lo tiene. Después, ¿qué más?
¿Qué contienen
La
las
raya.
13 líneas? Son las 13 colonias.
13 colonias, claro. Y yo me olvidé.
You heard it, folks. You can see the words with your own eyes. She forgot that the 13 stripes on the U.S. flag are representative of the 13 original colonies. Yeah.
The Escobedos are part of a growing population of Latinos in Houston. And though the city is one of the most diverse in the country, Vasquez says you wouldn't know it by looking at who's voting.
We are seeing this region become a majority in people of color. And yet we still don't represent that in the voting pool.
People of color. Brother. Anyway, she's right. The Latino community in Houston does not vote in its numbers. Now, in the general election, Houston went overwhelmingly to Clinton. So the Hispanic population, the Latino population in Houston did its job, but all of the major cities in Texas went for Clinton. It was the rural communities and a few smaller cities that went for Trump.
The rest of the country will start to look like what Houston looks like right now. And so our responsibility for Joaquin and his wife and others like him is to ensure that we are a welcoming city so that they can contribute.
I've been to Houston. I've lived in San Antonio, and I've lived in Dallas. And I can say that these communities are entirely welcoming to the Latino and the Hispanic populations. Very much so. So I don't really know what she's getting at, as if they've been somehow aggressive or unwelcoming towards these people for some time. That's simply not the case.
Nosotros nos sentimos contentos y a gusto porque ahora somos ciudadanos y podemos gozar de lo que nosotros podamos hacer de acuerdo cuando cumplas con las leyes del país.
You've been abiding by the country's laws for the last 36 years. At least I assume so. You seem to be nice people. You've probably raised a family in Houston. Good for you. But this whole rush to become a citizen, just because Trump's running for president, I don't know. I have a feeling somebody, a community organizer perhaps, maybe pushed you into it a little bit. I'm just saying. So by the time you finish watching this video, you think, wow, Clinton really clobbered Trump with the Hispanic vote, the Latino vote. She really nailed him. No, not quite. Clinton did get 71% of the Hispanic Latino vote in the general election. That's true. But if you reverse those numbers, that means Trump got 29% of the Hispanic Latino vote. That's significant in an election where the fear-mongering about what would happen to the Hispanic Latino community if Trump were elected was immense. Just saying. That concludes our Border Stories series. I very much appreciate all of you for your attention to this. And now, an anecdote. In keeping with the Latino theme of this series, I thought I'd give you an anecdote that has a little something to do with my ability or inability to speak Spanish. I took 2 years of high school Spanish and 2 years of college Spanish, and when I lived in San Antonio and in Dallas, my Spanish was quite good. I had ample opportunity to use it. However, there was a period living in the Midwest when those opportunities were few and far between. When I worked at the Level 1 Trauma Center near Chicago, I was part of the trauma team, which meant I responded when extremely critical cases came into the ER. On one such occasion, we had a gentleman who spoke no English. It was known in the unit that I spoke a little Spanish, so I was asked to communicate with the patient. And I asked him the very first question that one would want to know, "Are you in pain?" So I said, "Tengo dolor." He looked at me, and I repeated myself, "Tengo dolor." His eyes narrowed, and he looked back at me and said, "No sé." And then I realized I had not been asking, "Are you in pain?" I had been saying, "Am I in pain? Am I in pain?" To which he replied, "I don't know." We were able to treat the gentleman successfully, and he went home in a few days. But I was not allowed to forget that incident for quite some time, and nor should I have been allowed to. It was only fair. Thank you for your attention.